Welcome to this video. In this video we will discuss numerical differentiation and how to write a program use for numerical differentiation. So the process of computing the derivative of a function at some value of x from a given set of values is called as numerical differentiation. സോ തന്നിരിക്കുന്ന ഒരു വാല്യൂസിൻ്റെ എക്സ് വൈ വാല്യൂസ് ഉപയോഗിച്ചുകൊണ്ട് ഒരു എക്സ് വാല്യൂവിൽ ഡെറിവേറ്റീവ് കാണുന്നതിനെയാണ് ന്യൂമറിക്കൽ ഡിഫറൻസിയേഷൻ എന്ന് പറയുന്നത്. സോ ദർ ഈസ് എ ഡിഫറൻസ് ബിറ്റ്വീൻ ദിസ് ന്യൂമറിക്കൽ ഡിഫറൻസിയേഷൻ ആൻഡ് അനലിറ്റിക്കൽ ഡിഫറൻസിയേഷൻ വെർ വി യൂസ് എ ഫങ്ഷൻ ആൻഡ് എ ഫോർമുല ഫോർ അനലിറ്റിക്കൽ ഡിഫറൻസിയേഷൻ. So first we do by approximating the function by a interpolation formula. And then differentiating it as many times as desired. If the x values are equispaced and the derivative is required near the beginning of the table of values, we employ Gregory-Newton forward interpolation formula. If we need the derivative at the end of the table, we use Gregory-Newton backward interpolation formula. If you need the derivative at the middle of the table, you need central differential interpolation formula. If the values of x are not equispaced, we use Newton's divided difference interpolation formula or Lagrange's interpolation formula to find the numerical derivative. So first of all, we will see the numerical derivative using Gregory-Newton forward interpolation formula. So first of all, the Newton forward interpolation formula is written as y0 plus p into delta y0 plus p into p minus 1 delta square y0 by 2 factorial, like that. This is called as Newton forward interpolation formula. So we have to find the value of delta y0, delta square y0 from the value of x and y. So here the p is given by x minus x0 by h. So here x is the point where we have to find the derivative and h is the difference between two x values. And the x0 and y0 are the data at the beginning of the tabulated set of the function. Now using this equation, Newton's forward interpolation formula, the first derivative dy by dx will be 1 by h, because we have to differentiate with p is nothing but x minus x0 by h. So dp by dx will be dx 1 by h into dx by dy by dx, dy by dp into dp by dx. So we find dy by dx as 1 by h delta y0 plus 2p minus 1. If we just differentiate this equation 1, we will get this equation 2. This is the first derivative. So if I know the value of x, we can find p, and from delta y0 and delta square y0 from this table, we can find the first derivative at a given point of x. So the x value will used to find the value of p. So the program for finding this is shown here. So we start with defining a list, creating an empty list, and we create another empty list, and then you enter the number of data in the set and the first value of x at the beginning of the table, and the difference between the x values is stored in the computer in the name of h by the h is equal to float input h, and then we have to start a while loop for storing each values of x and y in the list created x and y. So we have created the empty list, and then we have to use the while loop to store the values of x and y in the empty list x and y. And then we have to we have to create a table, we have to create a list for finding the first difference, and then for storing the value in the first difference in the list, we have to start a while loop. For that we create another variable j, because that is a counting variable for while loop of this differential first difference. Since there are n datas, the first difference will have n minus 1 values. So the while loop will run from starting 0 to n minus 1. So while loop, the first difference is calculated as the difference of y values between adjacent y values. So the first value or first the difference of y is the difference of value in the list of y, the first value minus the zeroth value. That means y of 1 minus y of 0. That refers to the second value of y minus first value of y. And then after calculating the difference, and this has to be stored in the list created, which is diff1, and using the command diff1 dot append d1, that will be stored in the list diff1. Similarly, the second difference is calculated by creating an empty list diff2, and then you use another j is equal to 0, because that is a counter variable, and then there will be n minus 2 values of second difference, and first to find the calculate the value of the second difference by the equation d2 is equal to diff1. So subtract the second value of the list diff1 with the first value of the list diff1, and then that value is to be added to the list by the command diff2 dot append d2. d2 is the value, and diff2 is the name of the list created for storing the value of the second difference. So then the j has to be incremented by 1 after every time, every cycle of the while loop, and then for finding the third difference table, delta cube, the same method is used. You create an empty list diff3, and then define a counter variable, increment a counter variable, and then there will be n minus 3 values of third difference, and the while loop has to be run up to n minus 3 from 0, and calculate the value of third difference, and then store the value of calculated third difference in the list diff3 which is created, and then increment j. Again similarly we can find the fourth difference, and then after that you have to find the derivative at a particular value of x. So that value of x has to be stored in the computer. For that you use the input command. If the x is a floating number, you use float input x test, and then for loop is used to find this for I in x, y, diff1, diff2, diff3, diff4. So what we are going to do is for each value we are printing the value of first printing the first number, that means the first data, and then calculate the value of p, and first derivative has the equation 1 by h diff1 0 delta y0 plus 2 into p minus 1 delta square y0 by 2 plus 3p square minus 6p plus 2 delta cube y0 by 6. So even that is enough for finding the value of first derivative. If you want to find the second derivative, you have to use this equation derivative 2. Since I am only using the first derivative, I am stopping this. I calculated the value of derivative 1, and then I print the derivative 1 is equal to derivative 1. Suppose if you are using Python 3, you have to use brackets after print command. So let us run this program. You see, this is the program for finding the numerical derivative using the tabulated function. So here the same program is written in this Python idle uh, module, idle window. Then just run this program. So here I am asked to write the number of data sets. I am putting 3. So I am putting x0 value is 1. The h value is 0.1. Y value is 3. And then y value is again asked. The second value 4, 6. So we have to find I'm asked to write the value of x, where we have to find the first derivative. So I am putting 1.2. So